Hello Moment friends, Andang here for the Update 18 beta preview. I am here on the Bullroar server looking at a very imposing statue that is the entrance to Far Anorien. And if we look on the map here, we can see Far Anorien as the entire new region that's being added to LOTRO, and it connects to Old Anorien, of course, which was the place with Minas Tirith and Crit Host and all those other places. This is to the north, which was expected if you did finish the epic story, and so now we are, spoiler alert, mild spoiler alert for the epic story, making our way towards Rohan to hopefully find the Rohirrim or let them know that things aren't going well in Minas Tirith. And so the entire Far Anorien region is made up of the Beacon Hills and Drúadan, which are the two sub-areas, and then there's also two small areas called the Mouths of Entwash and the Greywood, which the Mouths of Entwash I had been wanting for a long time because it made no sense why we had the Entwash but not the Mouths. Anyway, this map does connect to both western and eastern Rohan, so it connects fairly well to the previous areas, and most importantly, connects Gondor to Rohan. So that is very, very good. And so let's go ahead and go on to the first area in this new area, which is Amon Dîn, which is a huge, huge beacon. So let's head towards that direction. Alright, we are almost to the top of Amon Dîn here, and we had to go through this huge, huge encampment that didn't have very many enemies in this because it's still beta, but we are now overlooking the next two beacons. And as you can see, they are on top of mountains. It is so amazing to see these. These are, I think, the same ones from the Peter Jackson films. And so we are finally here, and you can see that the beacons, at least from this distance, do not appear to be lit yet. So that is a very, very interesting thing. It'll be interesting to see how our part will play in the beacons in this region, because they are just these imposing structures that just stick out over everything else in the area, and they take forever to get up. I mean, it's probably 4 minutes it took me to get to the top of this whole winding path. And so anyway, there are enemies up here that I'm going to kill off, and then we'll look out over the other direction here. Alright, and here we are looking back the other direction towards Mordor, and you can see that it's an amazingly far distance away. That is all of Gondor essentially between here and Mordor, way, way in the distance. And that's the bridge that we entered to enter this zone, the first little statue area that we saw, and the enemy encampment, and the huge amount of steps that it takes to get up here. I mean, this is one of the highest places in LOTRO, and it is absolutely amazing to be looking out over. And there is the essentially mouth of the Entwash. It's a little bit further away. The actual mouth is back over that way, and you can see that we are not as high as the highest mountains, but we are very high up in LOTRO, and higher up than we have been possibly ever. I mean, and this is a very, very high structure, and pretty awesome. I'm not necessarily going to be looking forward to going up and down these again and again and again, but I think it is pretty cool that there are these beacons. That was a Ward Rider. That there are these beacons in LOTRO, and that they are so big. And reminder that this is still beta. These are placeholder enemies there. That is not. Let's go ahead and kill this guy off. Alright, he's running away. Oh great, we got the boar here now too. Alright, we're gonna let him go. And we're going to make our way, probably, we might make our way towards the next beacon, or if there's nothing else interesting there, we might just continue along. But anyway, let's head out towards the next beacon. And before we do that, as you can see, it is just a ton of stairs and a huge, huge winding path. I mean, these stairs are just endless, it feels like, on the way up here, but it's because you're literally basically climbing a mountain. I'm hoping that we don't have to go up and down these all the time, because that would be just miserable, especially after like the third or fourth beacon. So hopefully questing will flow well when the zone is all put together. So anyway, let's head on to the next beacon. Alright, and we are here between beacons, as you can see. And the Rohirrim are not here because this is still beta, almost certainly, but their encampment is here, and it is pretty awesome. They have a new type of forest, at least it feels different than previous areas, because it's kind of combined with the Pukelman, so it feels very similar to previous areas, but also still different, and so they have yet another kind of forest in LOTRO. That is one thing that they have done fairly well at, is making it be very diverse. But as you can see, these encampments of the Rohirrim just keep going on and on and on throughout this forest, and there's just so many Rohirrim that are coming to the aid. You get a clear sense of just this huge, huge scale of all these Rohirrim. And I mean, logistically, that's very reasonable, because it would take, I mean, it's this huge, huge army that they're sending of thousands and thousands and thousands of men. So the Rohirrim have this beacon, it would seem. And here we are at Theoden's main camp. And man, this is awesome. Very, very cool. All the banners, of course. And just this huge army with this big ancient tree in the background. And that will probably be a running theme. Looks like you can't go in, but I'm sure in an instance we will. There is Shadowfax, I believe, which means Gandalf is here. Or I guess he gave his steed back. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he is here, but I'm sure he's around here somewhere. Alright, let's continue along. There is just all these Rohirrim. I mean, it is ridiculous how many Rohirrim there are in this place. So let's actually head up towards this beacon and see what we can find. There's all these war steads. And we are stuck, apparently. There we go. Alright. Keep on making our way. There is a quest area and yet more Rohirrim tents. There's just a huge, huge, huge amount of them. The previous area was not too hard to go up on a war steed. This one is a little bit more challenging. And it seems that this one is much quicker to get up, which is a good thing for sure, because the previous one was just way too long. There's the Pukelman. Alright, and we are nearly to the top here. There's Mordor again. But it feels like essentially a bunch of... Oh, orcs! That's a thing. Feels like that it is just a ton of weathertops that are just strung along in this huge, huge chain of beacons, and it is a really cool effect to see this just very iconic place from the books. And we can see out over more of the zone. You can see a beacon over on that hill there, along with another structure over there. But the scale in this zone is just amazing. It's fitting of Minas Tirith. I mean, it's just these huge, huge mountains that are combined with these beacons to make these just very imposing structures. And you can see all the Rohirrim encampments, well, a lot of them anyway, all throughout down below. Absolutely amazing. Alright, let's get away from these orcs and on to the next area. Alright, we are here at Nardol, and as you can see, it's just this very amazing beacon structure with all sorts of arches and things like that. And we can see off into the beacon hills, where the beacons are on the hills. And pretty cool to see over there. Has more of a Rohan vibe in that direction. Oh man, goodness, we fell through the stairs. Reminder that this is still beta. Alright, let's see. There we go. So, very different type of beacon. It's like they turned a structure into a beacon, which is pretty cool. And we can see the previous two beacons we've been to already. And once again, that direction has more of the Intwash. But what's cool is at the end of this beacon they have a nice little canopy area essentially that looks out towards the mountain and also overlooks the bridge below, which takes you through the rest of the zone, which we will be doing right now. So let's go ahead and move on towards that direction. Alright, so we're now here in this quarry area, and it is just that, a quarry, but it's pretty cool because it is where they get all the stone for Minas Tirith and other places around Gondor. And it's just this huge quarry. Reminder that this is still beta. Those things might need to be here, but this is definitely beta. So we'll see if they stay around. And lighting totally messed up as well, but you know, it's beta. This is just a really cool, nice, open area that feels very rustic and kind of like an abandoned quarry type feel, although I don't think it is abandoned, but it's a pretty neat little area. They have all sorts of different quarry equipment, and you can tell that it used to be in the hands of the Gondorians. So anyway, let's continue along. Alright, so we made our way on through the quarry and down this way into an interesting settlement. We found the Woses, who helped the Rohirrim in the Third Age, of course. And so we can see them here. They are very indigenous. They call them like wild men and things like that. They are the descendants of the Pukelmen, which is pretty awesome. And they have just this village that is totally different from anything we have seen in Middle-earth. To the point where it almost looks like Endor or something like that. I mean, there's just like this very wild, jungly forest combining with the normal forest as well, and there's just these really cool little huts. So this is a nice little village that's pretty awesome. And they did say that their faces are not final and things like that, but they are pretty cool. And they just have this nice little village. And these amazing, amazing waterfalls over here. Super awesome. And the Pukelmen all around, of course. And they are the descendants of them. Pretty cool. And random hobbit. Drúadan. Might be placeholder, but since it has a name, I doubt it. Or it might be just randomly a hobbit that the model for the Pukelman's not there. I don't know. But it is interesting. So anyway, it's kind of cool. They have just this totally different style than anywhere else in Middle-earth. Really, really cool area. So anyway, let's head on to the final place. Alright, we are here at the Greywood, and it is just as it sounds, a Greywood. There are just all these very gray, basically dead trees, it seems. And this connects up in another way with Gondor, I believe. And we're being chased by something. Alright. So if we look at the map again, the main road goes down this way. Okay, apparently it's up a bit still. And so there we go. It connects on in with Far Anorien. It actually connects down here, so you can actually go straight from Pelennor right into the new area. And that is also the way that the quests think you're supposed to go. You're actually supposed to go first down through this whole road and onto this first little area here, which was the spoilery area. But that's not where the quest text is, so it's kind of weird, or where the map text is. So it makes it look like you're supposed to go up that way, but really there's this way that doesn't even have a road through it. That is the way that you're supposed to enter the zone. So far I think that this first area is actually pretty interesting. I really like the beacons. I think that they did a great job with that, and considering the lore restrictions on this area, I think they did a really nice job. It's essentially 3 weather tops in a single zone. I just hope that it does not quest that way, because I would hate to have to go up and down these things over and over again. But it does seem that there will be some nice questing areas down in these first couple areas. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching this first preview of Taur Drúadan in update 18. It looks pretty awesome, and when we return I will go on to the Beacon Hills and look at what else is coming with update 18. But till then, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you again real soon for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button below, and if you'd like to see more of my daily content, feel free to subscribe, and you'll be notified when that new content comes out. And also, if you'd like to help support my channel and help me continue to create high quality videos, feel free to support me on Patreon, and you can get all sorts of great rewards in the process. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again real soon for another video.